Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 271. Do I say something if I'm worried about someone who's over drinking? Well, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. So, real quick, Alive AF is closing down enrollment on Saturday, March 23rd. So, if you want to join, you should join now. You get the annual discount if you choose the annual membership, which is like 3 months for free, basically, because you don't pay the enrollment fee and you get 2 months for free. And if you want to do month to month, that's awesome. And then you can cancel anytime. But the annual membership gives you the space and time to figure things out. And once I open up enrollment again, it'll be a couple months, that opportunity won't be available. So if you've been thinking about it, if you've been on the fence, if you are wondering, do it because your time is coming to a close. All right, so today I want to talk about another question that I received about, do I say something if I see people drinking and their behavior isn't good? And it's just so complicated. And I want to preface it with this as there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can say something, you cannot say something. There's nuances to all of it. And I'm going to kind of dive into that. But there's no right or wrong way for any of this, y'all. Even everything that I teach about how to help you stop over drinking, this is my perspective. This is my view. This is based on my life and the clients that I've helped and the years of me not drinking and the years I did drink. And I just want to make sure that you know that these are my opinions. This is my work. And, it's awesome that if you follow it, you can get a lot of help and support, but it's not the only way. And I never claim it to be. I think it's a great way. I stand behind what I teach and how I coach. But obviously there's other ways like AA and extensive outpatient treatment programs and spiritual ways and all sorts of stuff, right? This is one way to do it. And so when you're thinking about if you know somebody in your life who you're seeing drink more than you probably think is healthy, or they're doing things that aren't healthy for them or their family, there's a lot of different schools of thought on if you say something to that person or if you don't. And so one of the examples that somebody reached out to me about was one of their friends, when they go out with them, they see behavior like stumbling and getting into fights with partners. And the friend is worried about, the parent going home with the kids and, stuff like that. And they didn't know if they should say something, if it was their place to say something. And it really is up to you and your relationship with that person. And I'm just a big component of my view and my angle from this is more about you and your desire, right, to speak up and share something that bothers you, right? So I put the alcohol aside. If somebody is doing something that you don't like in your life and it bothers you when you're in a relationship with them, I think you should tell them because this is where, we get a lot of anger and resentment and we hold on to things and then it kind of explodes in our face and it doesn't feel good for us to carry that, right? So I'm all about being authentic, telling the truth. And when you do those things, you stay in alignment with who you are and what matters to you. Right. And you can feel good about that. You don't ever question yourself. You're like, I should have said something when you didn't, or you play out conversations in your head that you really want to have that you never do. That takes a toll. That costs you energy. When you think about something in a relationship with somebody that maybe they've done, maybe not personally hurting you, It can be a whole range of things. But if you're thinking about it a lot and you're scared of saying something because of the outcome, you're worried about that relationship, that should, I would explore that. Get some coaching, journal about that, talk to your therapist about it. But you want to explore why you're holding back on not saying something. Okay. So in this example, the person might be scared to say something because they don't want the person who's drinking too much to get mad at them, or to be like, get pissed off and angry and tell, the person telling them that it's bothering them to mind their own business, and they, get all defensive and all that. And, that can be an outcome. And, I've talked about this on the podcast before, is like, if you say something to somebody about their drinking and they get offensive and defensive, it just means you're pushing on a button, and they know that there's some truth to it, but they're going to fight to the death to hold on, and so that's a normal response. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't say something. My approach is always like, this bothered me, and I want to tell you about that because it's important for you to know how I feel. Not so much that you are going to ask them to change or to quit drinking or anything like that. And so if it were me and I had a friend who I had recently been hanging out with, and I saw them drinking and stumbling and slurring their words and potentially, arguing with their spouse or getting depressed or something like that late into the night, I would approach it with, I'm worried about you. The last couple of times we've hung out, I've noticed this, and I just want to ask you, is everything okay? It's not normal to do this every time you go out. And I'm sorry if this is uncomfortable, but I really care about our friendship, and I like to be in authentic relationships with people. And I need you to know that I'm worried about you. And I also don't like hanging out with you when you're like that. And so I find myself thinking about it a lot, and I've been wanting to talk to you about this and holding back because I don't want to hurt your feelings, but that's not who I want to be. I want to be a good friend. And if you're in a relationship with me, you can expect the truth and love. And that's all this is right now. So do you want to talk about anything? I'm here for you. It would go something like that, right? It's not about you need to stop drinking, right? It's like, what's going on? Because if you've been listening to this podcast or work with me in any capacity, it's really not about the alcohol, right? It's about why you're needing to escape so deeply from your life that you drink so much that it obliterates you, right? That you get so drunk that you're falling down and stumbling. And it's not just one time, like if that was just occasionally, like once a year behavior, and you're like, I'm just going to let loose tonight, and this is the one time a year I do that, and then you don't overdrink any other time, sure, have fun, go for it. But that's not what this person is seeing, right? This person is seeing regular behavior now of stumbling and overdrinking. And that person is struggling. That person needs some support. And they may not be ready to hear it, but you can't hold back. If you care about somebody, I just wouldn't hold back in sharing how you feel, because at some point they will hear it. And you got to let them be an adult and decide if they want to do something with that information or if they don't. And so if it's bothering you, for your own good, I really want that to become through. This is about you and your part in this relationship and how you feel. If you want to have a deep relationship with somebody, if you want to be in a vulnerable relationship with somebody and you want to be real, then it's important that you practice sharing how you feel and having difficult conversations with people and not just hiding. The other thing I came back to this person that asked me this question was, what kind of relationship do you want to have with this person? Do you want to open that can of worms? Do you want to have a vulnerable, connection with them and be full on transparent with everything? If yes, then you should have that conversation. If no, you don't have to. Decide where they kind of fit in your friendship buckets. Maybe it's just then, you know what, I'm going to have a boundary and I'm not going to hang out with you in the evening because you drink too much and I don't like that. I don't like seeing you like that. I don't enjoy my time when it's like that. And so maybe you just have coffee dates with that person or go for walks, right? During the day when that's not present, when the drinking wouldn't be present, right? That's also okay. But I would say that if you're worried about somebody and you see patterns that aren't good for them, and we're not the alcohol police, it's worth it to like get quiet with yourself and ask, how much is this affecting me? Am I going to say something or am I not? And if you do decide to do it, just do it from love. Don't do it in the moment when they're drinking. I talked about this on the other podcast. It was podcast number 267, what to do if somebody you care about overdrinks. You got to do it when you're not in the moment of them over drinking or you're being really upset about their drinking. Try to be, give it some space, be a little bit more neutral about it and be like, I love you and I care about you and I'd like to have a conversation. And you do that from love, they will hear it so much better instead of when they're in the moment, potentially drinking or hungover, and there could have been a fight or something like that. I don't recommend you bring it up then. Have a few days after or whatever, or just in general conversation during the day and let them know that you'd like to talk to them about something that, that you're concerned about. And, you have to kind of let go of the outcome too. You don't know how they're going to respond to that. It's so sensitive. People are so sensitive about this. And when you have a drinking problem, you are very attached to your alcohol. And dare anybody come in and say that you're doing too much of it. So I have been on the receiving end of that. My in-laws classified my husband and I as overdrinkers to another family member. And I tell you what, that sent fury through me like no other. This was before, I figured this out. And I didn't hear it then. And that's, I got really upset about that. But it was only because I was so attached to the drinking. I didn't want anybody to be looking at my drinking, to be monitoring my drinking, and I wasn't aware of that stuff then. But I am now, and I can see it better now. And sometimes people hear you, sometimes they don't. I wouldn't worry about that so much. It's more about you sharing how you feel because the relationship is important to you and you want to show up in relationships as real and authentic and vulnerable as possible because that's what bridges connection and that's what is important to you. And if you don't want that kind of relationship with this person, if you're faced with this situation, then you can decide, if I'm invited, like a boundary would be, if I'm invited to go out in the evening with this person, I'll decline and suggest something during the day. And you don't even need to have a conversation with them about that. You don't need to be like, I need to have a boundary with you because you're drinking too much in the evenings. And so we can only have coffee. Like if you say that, then you need to be ready to have the vulnerable conversation, right? If you're going to say anything, I think you need to do it with love and tenderness and openness and be willing to actually talk about it and not just kind of like throw a dart at it. Okay. And if you're not willing to do that, that's okay. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll ask you. I'm not sure. But you can decide what kind of time you want to spend with that person. Okay. So that's what I have to say about that. It's very nuanced and there's no right or wrong way to do it. And it sucks when you see somebody that you love over drinking like that, and especially if you've been struggling with over drinking and you feel like they're beyond where you were with it. Like there's a lot of worry there. And, we should be worried. We should speak up when we see somebody stumbling, like if they're a mother or, somebody has a family and they're stumbling at the end of the night and slurring their words, like that's, it's just not okay. Alcohol is poisonous and it causes a lot of damage to people's lives. I've just seen too much now over these 6 years of doing this work. And that would be a warning flag for me. One time, maybe not, but multiple times, absolutely. And I would be worried about that because this, as you all know, this can be a sneaky, invasive situation with alcohol and things can go south. And unless you get the help that you need. So I'm a resource. You can say I've got resources. You can share my podcast. If you end up having if you end up having these conversations with people. And then you can also decide to just wait. There really isn't a right or wrong. Do what you feel is in alignment with who you want to be in that relationship. That's the best piece of advice that I can give you. Decide what level of relationship this is for you. If you want it to go deeper, if you want to be that person that's, supportive of them. If you don't, if you want to keep it casual, make a boundary, and then you can also decide not to do anything. All right, my friends, I hope that helps. Join Alive AF and get coaching, direct coaching on any of these types of topics. All right, my friends, we'll talk to you next week. Bye. I want you to check out angelamascenik.com/AliveAF. You know what it's like to have a desire to cut back on your drinking, right? You start to read books, listen to podcasts, try things, but you might not be able to yet put all the pieces and suggestions together in a way that actually makes sense and works for you. You might struggle with beating yourself up after an overdrink. You might get frustrated with yourself when you take 2 steps forward and then another 2 steps back, and get overwhelmed with what's right and wrong about your relationship with alcohol. Your friends tell you that you should be able to have just 1 drink, and it isn't a big deal. You might be white-knuckling through urges and resisting instead of peacefully processing them. And you might struggle with your identity as someone who has enjoyed having a lot of wine or alcohol in your life. It's around you all the time. It's what you do and who you are. Well, after 5 years of successfully coaching hundreds of women through these struggles, I have created the Alive AF membership, where women like you can learn the basics on what it takes to cut back and reach your goals with alcohol, whether it is to just drink less or totally quit. And when you join, you will get the exact framework I used to change my own relationship with alcohol and still use today, that has led me to be alcohol-free for over 5 years. You're going to get access to my resources, videos, and worksheets that have been proven to change and reduce how much you drink. Every day you can ask questions, share your obstacles, and get coaching and direct support on the challenges you will face with love and no judgment. Also, you will get immediate access to workshops like uncovering your alcohol identity and changing it, how to say no to things that don't support your new identity or life or goals, aka boundaries. A workshop called Creating Emotional Agency, and another one, How to Manage Your Mind to Succeed at Your Goals, and more. Every month we have a brand new workshop. These workshops are filled with step-by-step prompts and instruction to help you create the exact relationship with alcohol that is best for you. My mission and vision for Alive AF is to be a hub of support and resources for women to come and learn how to do what is best for them and becoming more alive in the process. When you join, you're going to learn how to take care of yourself better, how to feel good and become more alive and go after the life that you really want. I want this membership to be affordable and an easy solution where you can get all the help you need in one simple place whenever you need it. So, no need to go read another book, find a new podcast, attend a free webinar, or go down the path of piecemealing it all together. Join Alive AF and have it all there in one place for you anytime you need it. So, go to angelamascenik.com/AliveAF, and enrollment is open right now. See you inside.